You do not need a fortune to travel the world, and these 20 countries prove it. Today, we count down the cheapest countries to travel in 2026, where your money goes incredibly far. You will find beautiful beaches, ancient ruins, and buzzing cities where meals cost $1 or $2. Each country is a better bargain than the last, so stay with us to number 1. Save this video so your next trip is always affordable, and comment where you would go first. We begin the countdown at number 20, so let's start saving right now. Number 20 is Bulgaria, one of Europe's best value countries, packed with mountains, beaches, and history. Ancient towns, ski resorts, and the Black Sea coast all cost a fraction of Western Europe, beaches, peaks, and history for less. The old town of Plovdiv glows with Roman ruins, cobbled lanes, and painted merchant houses. It is one of Europe's oldest cities, yet a full meal here costs just a few dollars. One of Europe's oldest cities. The Rila Monastery sits deep in the mountains, its arches painted in vivid color. Forested peaks and glacial lakes surround it. Perfect for cheap hiking and clean mountain air. Golden beaches line the Black Sea coast, where sun and sea cost next to nothing. Seaside towns fill with music in summer as budget travelers relax on the warm sand. Ski world-class slopes for bargain prices, then soak in natural hot springs nearby. Hearty food, cheap wine, and warm hospitality stretch every traveler's dollar here. Bulgaria delivers mountains, beaches, and history at unbeatable European prices. It is a bargain gem, but far cheaper countries still lie ahead of us. Unbeatable value in Europe. Number 19 is Hungary, home to one of Europe's most beautiful and affordable capitals. Grand Budapest straddles the Danube with palaces, bridges, and steaming thermal baths, grand beauty at budget prices. The Hungarian parliament glows gold along the river, one of the grandest buildings in Europe. Cruise the Danube at night for a fraction of the cost of Paris or London, a Danube cruise for far less. Soak in vast thermal baths where warm mineral water steams beneath grand old domes. A soak here costs only a few dollars in one of Budapest's great affordable pleasures. A soak for just a few dollars. Ruin bars fill crumbling old buildings with quirky art, music, and cheap local drinks. Wander cobbled streets and grand squares that rival any capital in Western Europe. Beyond the city, vineyards, castles, and vast Lake Balaton offer cheap country escapes. Hearty stews and fine wine cost a fraction of what you would pay further west. Cheap escapes into wine country. Hungary serves up grand European beauty at genuinely budget-friendly prices. It dazzles for less, yet the countdown keeps getting cheaper still. Grand Europe for a fraction of the cost. Number 18 is Bosnia and Herzegovina, a rugged Balkan country that is stunningly cheap. Ottoman old towns, green rivers, and wild mountains cost a fraction of the rest of Europe. Stunning scenery at tiny prices. In Mostar, a graceful stone bridge arches over a river of brilliant emerald green. Divers leap from the bridge as the old town glows with markets and minarets below, over a river of emerald green. The capital Sarajevo blends mosques, churches, and bazaars in a lively old quarter. Grilled food, strong coffee, and cozy guest houses all cost remarkably little here. Coffee and guest houses cost little. Emerald rivers rush through deep canyons perfect for cheap rafting and wild swimming. Waterfalls and forested mountains surround villages barely touched by mass tourism. Cheap rafting and wild swimming. Hike past old watchtowers, then feast on grilled meats and pastries for just a few dollars. History runs deep here, and every traveler's budget stretches surprisingly far. Bosnia offers dramatic scenery and rich history at some of Europe's lowest prices. It surprises everyone. But even greater bargains are still to come. Europe's lowest prices and rich history. Number 17 is Poland, a country of grand old cities and mountains that stays wonderfully cheap. Medieval squares, castles, and forests cost far less than the rest of Europe. Grand cities that stay cheap. Krakow's vast market square buzzes with cafes, horse carriages, and a towering old church. A hearty meal of dumplings and beer here costs just a handful of dollars. Dumplings and beer for a few dollars. The Tatra Mountains rise in sharp peaks above the alpine town of Zakopane. Hike or ski for bargain prices, then warm up with cheap mountain food and tea, bargain hiking and skiing. Colorful old towns like Wrocław and Gdansk line rivers and the cool Baltic coast. Grand squares and Gothic churches fill cities that cost a fraction of Western capitals. Explore deep salt mines carved into glittering underground chapels of stone. Dense forests, castles, and lakes offer cheap escapes across the wide green countryside. Poland blends grand history and mountain scenery at genuinely low prices. It offers huge value, but the countdown climbs cheaper still. Huge value in the heart of Europe. Number 16 is Turkey, where East meets West in a country that is beautiful and remarkably cheap. Ancient ruins, bazaars, and turquoise coast all stretch your money incredibly far. Beauty that stretches your money far. In Cappadocia, hundreds of hot air balloons drift over surreal rock valleys at dawn. Sleep in a cave hotel for a bargain and watch the sunrise paint the stone gold. A cave hotel for a real bargain. Istanbul dazzles with grand mosques, palaces, and a bazaar of 1,000 glittering stalls. Ferries cross the Bosphorus for pennies between two continents at once. Ferries between continents for pennies. The turquoise coast hides ancient ruins, hidden coves, and wooden boats on clear blue water. Sail past sunken cities and pine-covered cliffs for a fraction of European prices. At Pamukkale, white terraces of warm mineral water cascade down a glowing hillside. Feast on kebabs, mezze, and sweet tea that cost only $1 or $2. Turkey delivers history, coast, and wonder at prices that feel almost unreal. It amazes for less, but even cheaper countries lie ahead history and coast for almost nothing. Number 15 is Malaysia, a tropical Southeast Asian country of cheap food, beaches, and jungle. Glittering cities, rainforest, and islands all cost surprisingly little to explore. Cities, jungle, and cheap street food. In Kuala Lumpur, the soaring Petronas Towers glow above a city of temples and markets. Feast on incredible street food from every culture for just $1 or $2. World food for $1 or $2. The island of Borneo hides jungle full of orangutans, caves, and towering rainforest. Cheap boats and lodges make wild adventures affordable in one of Asia's great wildernesses. Affordable wild jungle adventure. Tropical islands like Langkawi ring turquoise water with jungle-covered hills and beaches. Snorkel warm reefs and relax on the sand for a fraction of tropical resort prices. In Old Penang, colorful shophouses and street art fill a food lover's paradise. Bowls of noodles and curry cost pennies in this delicious, easygoing island city. Malaysia mixes cities, jungle, and islands with some of the best cheap food on earth. It is a bargain paradise, yet even cheaper lands remain. A tropical bargain paradise. Number 14 is the Philippines, a tropical nation of 7,000 islands and tiny prices. Turquoise lagoons, white beaches, and coral reefs cost a fraction of other tropical escapes. Tropical paradise at tiny prices. In Palawan, sheer limestone cliffs wrap around hidden lagoons of glowing green water. Island hop by boat for just a few dollars past some of the most beautiful scenery on Earth. The most beautiful scenery on Earth. The chocolate hills roll across an island in hundreds of strange green mounds. Nearby, tiny, wide-eyed tarsiers cling to branches in the warm tropical forest. Hundreds of strange green mounds. Dive with sea turtles and whale sharks in warm, clear water bursting with life. Cheap beach huts sit right on the sand beneath swaying coconut palms. In Banawa, ancient rice terraces climb the mountains like giant green staircases. Local guest houses and street food keep costs tiny across these stunning islands. The Philippines packs tropical paradise into one of the cheapest island nations on Earth. And we are past a third of the list, so the top 14 are even better value. Number 13 is Sri Lanka, a tropical island of beaches, tea hills, and ancient temples for very little. This lush teardrop off India packs huge variety into a tiny budget. Huge variety on a tiny budget. A famous blue train winds through emerald tea plantations wrapped in soft morning mist. The scenic ride costs only a couple of dollars through some of Asia's greenest hills. A scenic ride for a couple of dollars. Climb the ancient rock fortress of Sigiriya for sweeping views over endless jungle. Elephants roam wild in national parks where cheap safaris get you astonishingly close. Cheap safaris get you close. Golden southern beaches stay warm and calm with surf, whales, and swaying palms. Fresh seafood and coconut curry cost just $1 or $2 by the sea. Wander Old Gal, a walled port town of colonial streets above the crashing surf. Cheap guest houses and roadside food make this island one of Asia's great bargains. Sri Lanka blends beaches, jungle, and tea country into one incredibly cheap tropical trip. It offers so much for so little, yet greater bargains lie ahead. So much beauty for so little money. Number 12 is Cambodia, home to the vast temples of Angkor and prices that stay tiny. Ancient ruins, warm beaches, and friendly cities cost very little across this land. Ancient wonders at tiny prices. At dawn, the towers of Angkor Wat glow gold and reflect in the still temple moat. It is the largest religious monument on Earth, explored for just a modest entry fee, the largest temple on Earth. At top Rome, giant tree roots swallow ancient stone in a scene straight from a movie. Carved, smiling faces gaze from the towers of Bayon, deep in the warm green forest. Carved faces in the green forest. Float across Tonle Sap, a huge lake dotted with stilt houses and floating villages. Fishermen cast their nets at dusk as the water glows orange under the tropical sky. Relax on cheap southern islands with white sand and warm, clear turquoise water. Bowls of noodles, cold drinks, and beach huts all cost just $1 or $2 here. Beach huts for $1 or $2. Cambodia wraps ancient wonder and tropical calm into one of Asia's cheapest trips. It stuns the imagination, but the countdown reaches its cheapest top 10 now, one of Asia's cheapest great trips. Number 11 is Nepal, home to the mightiest mountains on Earth and famously low prices. Trekking beneath the Himalaya costs a fraction of any other great mountain range. The greatest mountains for less. Everest towers above valleys where tea house trekking is cheap, social, and unforgettable. Prayer flags flutter over stone villages as porters climb the high mountain trails. Cheap, social, and unforgettable. The Annapurna Range circles deep valleys terraced with rice and dotted with tea houses. Hire a guide and hike for days on a shoestring through rhododendron forest and snow. Hike for days on a shoestring. In Kathmandu, golden temples and ancient stupas rise above the busy old streets. Cheap guest houses and street food keep the vibrant capital easy on any budget. Cheap guest houses and street food. Down in Pokhara, a calm lake mirrors the mountains beneath a perfectly still sky. Paragliding, boating, and mountain views all cost surprisingly little in this laid-back town. Nepal offers the greatest mountains on Earth at prices almost anyone can afford. It humbles every traveler, but cheaper countries still lie ahead. Epic mountains almost anyone can afford. Number 10 is Egypt, where ancient wonders and the glowing Red Sea cost remarkably little. Trade the crowds for pyramids, temples, and coral reefs at bargain prices, ancient wonders for remarkably little. The great pyramids of Giza rise from the golden desert under a bright, cloudless sky. Camels cross the sand as the ancient Sphinx gazes out over the vast dunes, the last ancient wonder standing. In Luxor, colossal temples and painted tombs line the banks of the calm blue Nile. A river cruise here costs a fraction of similar trips almost anywhere else. A Nile cruise for far less. Along the Red Sea, warm, clear water hides some of the finest coral reefs on Earth. Cheap dive trips glide past clouds of tropical fish over walls of living color. Cheap dives over living color. Sail a traditional felucca down the Nile as palm-lined banks slide slowly past. Street food, markets, and guest houses cost just $1 or $2 across the country. Egypt delivers the wonders of the ancient world at prices that feel almost impossible. It is timeless and cheap, yet even better bargains remain. The ancient world at bargain prices. Number 9 is Morocco, a country of deserts, mountains, and maze-like markets that stay very cheap. From Sahara dunes to blue mountain towns, your money goes a long, long way. Desserts and markets that stay cheap. In Marrakesh, the Medina buzzes with spice pyramids, lanterns, and glowing, colorful stalls. Haggle for treasures and feast on tagine for just a few dollars in the huge old square. Tagine for just a few dollars. The blue city of Chefchaouen climbs a mountain in a dream of painted indigo lanes. Cheap guest houses and mint tea make this photogenic town a budget traveler's delight. Cheap stays in the blue city. Ride a camel over golden Sahara dunes, then sleep in a desert camp beneath the stars. Nights in the dunes cost little, yet feel like a scene from an old adventure tale. The Atlas Mountains hide Berber villages, waterfalls, and green terraced valleys. Hike ancient trails and stay with local families for very little across the high country. Morocco blends desert, mountains, and vibrant markets at wonderfully low prices. It dazzles the senses, but the top 8 are cheaper still. Wonderfully low prices everywhere. Number 8 is Ecuador, a small South American country of volcanoes, jungle, and bargain prices. In one tiny land, you find the Andes, the Amazon, and even island wildlife. The Andes and Amazon for a bargain. Colonial Quito sits high in the Andes, its old town glowing with churches and plazas. One of the best preserved capitals in the Americas, it stays remarkably cheap to explore. A stunning capital that stays cheap. Snow-capped volcanoes tower over green valleys, hot springs, and colorful markets. Ride the famous train or hike the slopes for just a fraction of typical prices. Dive into the Amazon by cheap riverboat to spot monkeys, birds, and pink dolphins. Jungle lodges here cost far less than in neighboring rainforest countries. Jungle lodges for far less. On the coast, budget beaches draw surfers and whale watchers to the warm Pacific. Fresh seafood and tropical fruit cost only $1 or $2 by the sea. Ecuador packs the Andes, Amazon, and coast into one cheap and compact country. It offers incredible variety, but the top 7 are cheaper still. Incredible variety at low prices. Number 7 is Peru, where the mighty Andes, lost cities, and jungle all cost surprisingly little. From Machu Picchu to Rainbow Mountains, huge adventures fit a small budget, lost cities and mountains for less. Machu Picchu clings to a green ridge high above a coiling river far below. Reach this ancient wonder by cheap trains and buses through the stunning Sacred Valley, an ancient wonder on a small budget. At Rainbow Mountain, mineral stripes paint an entire peak in red, gold, and teal. Llamas graze the high slopes on a bargain day trip into the soaring Andes, a bargain trip into the Andes. In Cusco, Inca walls and colonial squares mix in a lively mountain city. Hearty food and cozy hostels keep costs tiny in the gateway to the ancient ruins. Cozy hostels keep costs tiny. Glide across Lake Titicaca to islands woven from floating reeds high in the mountains. Cheap boats and homestays make this deep blue wonder easy on any budget. Peru fuses ancient mystery and mountain scenery on a shoestring budget. We are 2/3 of the way now, and the final 6 are the best value of all. Number 6 is Serbia, a lively, welcoming Balkan country that is remarkably cheap to explore. Buzzing cities, green mountains, and ancient monasteries cost very little here, vibrant cities at tiny prices. Belgrade sits where 2 great rivers meet, buzzing with cafes, fortresses, and nightlife. A night out here costs a fraction of any Western European capital, a night out for a fraction of the cost. In the mountains, the Tara region hides deep canyons, forests, and a tiny cliffside train. Wooden villages and green peaks make cheap escapes into wild, quiet nature. Cheap escapes into wild nature. Ancient monasteries dot the hills, their walls glowing with old golden frescoes. History runs deep across a country still overlooked by most travelers today. Feast on huge plates of grilled meat and fresh bread for just a handful of dollars. Warm hospitality and lively festivals fill this friendly, affordable land. Serbia offers vibrant cities and wild nature at some of Europe's lowest prices. It welcomes every traveler, but the top 5 are cheaper still. Europe's lowest prices and warm welcome. Number 5 is Mexico, a huge country of beaches, ruins, and food where your money goes far. From turquoise cenotes to colorful colonial towns, incredible value waits everywhere, beaches, ruins, and food for less. In the Yucatan, ancient Mayan temples like Chichen Itza rise above the emerald jungle. Nearby, cenotes open into cool blue caverns you can swim in for just a few dollars. Swim in cenotes for a few dollars. Colorful colonial towns like Oaxaca glow with markets, murals, and lively festivals. Feast on tacos and mole for pennies in one of the world's great food cultures. Tacos and mole for pennies. Powder white Caribbean beaches meet warm turquoise water along the Riviera Maya. Beach towns and street food keep tropical trips cheap beneath the swaying palms. Cheap street food beneath the palms. Watch millions of monarch butterflies fill highland forests in a slow orange blizzard. Ride into deserts, canyons, and mountains that cost little to explore. Mexico serves up beaches, ruins, and world-class food at unbeatable prices. It dazzles for less, but the final 4 are cheaper still. World-class food at unbeatable prices. Number 4 is Indonesia, a vast tropical archipelago where a little money goes a very long way. Volcanoes, rice terraces, and thousands of islands cost surprisingly little to explore. A little money goes a long way. In Bali, temple gates frame smoking volcanoes and terraced fields carved into green hills. Cheap villas, warm food, and jungle waterfalls make it a real budget paradise. Cheap villas in a budget paradise. Hike a volcano at dawn to watch Mount Bromo float above a sea of drifting mist. Local guides and homestays keep these epic sunrises easy on any budget. Epic sunrises on any budget. On Komodo, pink sand beaches meet golden hills roamed by giant prehistoric dragons. Cheap boat trips glide past islands where manta rays drift in turquoise water. Cheap boat trips past the dragons. Snorkel coral gardens, then feast on noodles and sati for just $1 or $2. Thousands of islands offer endless cheap adventure across the warm tropical seas. Indonesia is volcanoes, jungle, and islands at some of the lowest prices on Earth. It dazzles endlessly, but the top 3 are cheaper still, the lowest prices on Earth. Number 3 is Thailand, the classic backpacker paradise of beaches, temples, and cheap food. Golden temples, tropical islands, and street feasts stretch every dollar incredibly far. The classic cheap paradise. In Bangkok, glittering temples and floating markets sit beside buzzing street food stalls. A plate of pad thai here costs about $1 in one of the world's great food cities. Pad thai for about $1. Southern islands like Phi Phi Ring limestone cliffs with white sand and turquoise water. Cheap beach huts and boat trips make tropical paradise astonishingly affordable. Cheap huts by turquoise water. In the north, Chiang Mai fills with old temples, night markets, and misty green hills. Cooking classes, massages, and feasts all cost just a few dollars here. Feasts for just a few dollars. Ride long-tail boats past jungle-clad karst peaks and glowing emerald bays. Warm, friendly, and endlessly cheap. Thailand is easy to love on any budget. Thailand blends beaches, temples, and street food into the ultimate cheap escape. It is pure value and joy, but two even cheaper countries remain. Pure value, beauty, and joy. Number 2 is Vietnam, a slender country of emerald bays and lantern towns that is incredibly cheap. From misty mountains to the southern delta, huge beauty fits a tiny budget. Huge beauty on a tiny budget. In Halong Bay, thousands of limestone towers rise from calm jade green water. Overnight boat cruises here cost a fraction of similar trips anywhere else on Earth. Cruises for a fraction of the cost. In Hoi Ahn, lantern-lit streets glow gold at night and shimmer in the quiet river. Tailors, silk shops, and street food fill the magical old town for very little. A magical old town for very little. Up north in Sapa, flooded rice terraces climb the hillsides like giant green staircases. Trek past hill tribe villages and stay with families for just a few dollars. Stay with families for a few dollars. Slurp steaming bowls of pho and sip strong coffee for about $1 on any corner. Motorbikes weave through markets bursting with tropical fruit and fresh herbs. Vietnam packs mountains, bays, and incredible food into one of Asia's cheapest trips. It is unbeatable value, but one final country tops them all. Unbeatable value across Asia. Number 1 is India, a vast and dazzling country where your money stretches further than almost anywhere. Palaces, temples, mountains, and beaches fill one incredible low-cost land. Your money stretches further here. The Taj Mahal glows white above its gardens, one of the most beautiful buildings on Earth. This wonder of the world costs only a small fee to stand before its sunrise. A wonder of the world for a small fee. In Rajasthan, pink and blue cities glow beneath grand hilltop forts and palaces. Camels cross the desert as markets burst with color, spice, and bargain treasures. Markets full of bargain treasures. In the north, the Himalaya tower over mountain towns, monasteries, and prayer flags. Cheap guest houses and buses open up some of the greatest scenery in all of Asia. Ride iconic trains across the country for pennies, past rivers, jungles, and rice fields. Feast on rich curries and street food for just $1 in a paradise for food lovers. Rich curries for just $1. India crowns our list because no country offers so much beauty and wonder for so little. From the Taj to the Himalaya, it is the greatest travel bargain on Earth. The greatest travel bargain on Earth. There you have it, the 20 cheapest countries to travel anywhere in the entire world. From the Balkans to Southeast Asia, each one proves adventure does not have to cost a fortune. Which country would you visit first? And did your own favorite make the final list? Drop a comment below, give the video a like, and save it for your next budget trip. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the very end of this journey. Aloha from Kahana Designs, and be sure to subscribe for more beautiful travel guides.